What if Doctor Strange joined the boys? How would Vought react? And how would Homelander deal with someone he couldn't control? Imagine this. During Wanda's attack on Kamar Taj, America Chavez loses control of one of her portals. Strange pushes her out of Wanda's path, but Wanda's magic strikes the unstable opening and splits it in two. America falls through one opening, Strange falls through another. He lands in a different New York. The cloak catches Strange before he hits the street and pulls him onto a nearby rooftop. Bruised but alive, he immediately tests his sling ring. Strange opens a portal to the next rooftop. The ring still works, but every attempt to reach Kamar Taj, the Sanctum, or anywhere else in his reality collapses. America cannot simply come back for him either. She still cannot control where her portals take her. Strange visits the address where the Sanctum should be. The building is there, but there are no protective spells, relics, or sorcerers. Just ordinary people living inside an ordinary building. Of course, he mutters, that would have been too easy. So Strange starts researching this world instead. Superheroes are everywhere. Television, billboards, toys, even cereal boxes. But every search leads back to the same company, Vought International. If anyone in this world has records of unusual powers or unexplained phenomena, Vought is his best lead. So Strange heads for Vought Tower. Before Strange can reach Vought Tower, a sudden blast of wind races through the street. Strange turns and sees Huey frozen on the sidewalk, covered in blood, and still holding Robin's severed hands. A-Train slows just enough to glance back. His hands are shaking, sweat is running down his face, and he's breathing far too hard. I can't stop, he mutters before accelerating again. Strange catches Huey as he stumbles backward. Then he opens a portal several blocks ahead. He steps through and raises a shield directly in A-Train's path. A-Train slams into the shield, but recovers before Strange's magical restraints can close around him. That speed is not the only thing Strange notices. Dilated pupils, unsteady breathing, trembling muscles. Strange was a doctor long before becoming a sorcerer. He recognizes the signs immediately. What did you take? A-Train glances toward the gathering crowd. Get out of my way. You can barely control yourself. Magical bands begin closing around A-Train's arms, but he slips away before the spell finishes. Realizing Strange can intercept him on a clear path, A-Train cuts through moving traffic and the crowd gathering along the street. Strange tries to anticipate his route, but A-Train moves too unpredictably. Before Strange can find a safe opening, the speedster disappears into the city. People nearby are already filming. By the time Vought arrives, the videos are everywhere. An unidentified powered man saved Huey and confronted A-Train moments after Robin's death. The footage reaches Vought instantly. Vought searches every database that it controls, but finds no identity, soup record, or evidence that Strange existed in this world before the day he appeared. While Vought searches for him, Strange hides his body in a nearby building, leaving the cloak guarding it, and enters a tower in an astral form. He watches the company rewrite Robin's death and pressures Huey to accept a settlement in exchange for his silence. That tells Strange exactly what kind of company Vought is, but it tells him nothing about how to get home. Once Strange returns to continue his search, he notices Huey planting a listening device beneath a desk. Then a nearby door opens by itself. Invisible footsteps follow Huey into the elevator. Strange returns to his body and follows them. At the electronics store, Translucent attacks before Huey can warn Butcher. The cloak catches the Translucent, revealing him just long enough for Huey to shock him unconscious. Huey calls Butcher, who arrives moments later and points his gun at Strange. Butcher, don't, Huey says. He helped me. Butcher keeps the gun raised. Doesn't tell me who the ducky is. I'm not with Vought, Strange says. And am I supposed to take your word for it? Strange looks toward Translucent. Do their people usually attack each other? Strange asks whether Butcher has ever found anything involving other worlds or dimensional travel. Not exactly my area, Butcher says, but I've got more dirt on Vought than anyone alive. Then let me see what you have. Butcher glances at Huey and the unconscious Soup. And what do we get exactly? I help you survive whatever comes next. After a moment, Butcher lowers a gun. At the hideout, Frenchie surrounds an electrified cage with foil to block Translucent's tracker, then locks him inside. Translucent offers up A-Train's secret girlfriend, Popclaw, to save himself. Butcher listens, then starts discussing how to kill him anyway. Strange looks at him. He gave you what you wanted, and he's seen our faces. Butcher replies, we let him go, we're dead. So keep him contained, will ya? Strange glances toward the cage. For how long? While trying to escape, Translucent tears through the foil lining, briefly allowing his tracker to reconnect with Vought. A sonic boom shakes the building. Strange opens a portal and leaves to draw Homelander away from the others. The moment Strange is gone, Butcher shoots Translucent. The bullet fails to penetrate, confirming that the protection comes from his skin. Frenchie realizes the same protection may not extend inside Translucent's body. He plants an explosive inside him and gives Huey the trigger. Translucent uses water from a plastic cup to short out the cage and escapes. He promises to protect Huey if he lets him go, but when Huey hesitates, Translucent threatens both him and his father. Huey remembers Robin and he presses the button. Strange returns bruised and finds Huey covered in blood. Strange looks at Butcher and immediately understands why he waited until Strange was gone. Butcher doesn't try to explain himself. Strange no longer trusts him, but he stays. Over the next few days, Butcher searches for Strange's past and finds the same thing Vought did. Nothing. MM rejoins the team but makes it clear he does not trust another powerful man who is around his family. Frenchie becomes fascinated by magic, while Huey simply relieved Strange stayed. At the same time, Huey grows closer to Starlight and begins to see how trapped she is within Vought. Homelander learns that Translucent is dead and begins hunting whoever killed him. Strange spends most of his time looking through Butcher's information and helping with smaller operations. He opens doors the boys cannot reach, gets them out when plans go wrong, stops Butcher from turning every captured enemy into a corpse. But one detail continues to bother him. A-Train was high when he killed Robin. Translucent's last lead points the boys toward Popclaw. Butcher approaches her without Strange and records her accidentally killing her landlord while high on Compound V. The blackmail gives them the location of A-Train's supplier. The address leads the boys to a heavily guarded warehouse. They escape with a vial of Compound V and Vaught's shipping records, along with a frightened woman named Kimiko. Strange examines the drug back at the hideout. This created them? Huey asks. It changed them, Strange replies after examining the vial. Whatever this substance is, there's nothing mystical about it. Compound V cannot send him home, but the records prove Vought has been creating Supes and moving the drug through hospitals across the country. The surviving supplier leads Vought back to Popclaw, and Homelander orders A-Train to silence her. Strange only learns afterward how Butcher got the address. You blackmailed her and left her exposed to Vought. She gave us the location, Butcher says. Without it, we'd never find the shipment. And now she's dead, says Strange. Butcher doesn't apologize. Then Frenchie checks the stolen security footage and spots a camera aimed straight at them. Vought now has proof that Strange is working with the boys. Stillwell knows a direct attack could fail and make Strange even more popular, so Vought tries something different. The company publicly offers the unknown sorcerer legal protection, access to its research, and Translucent's vacant position in the Seven. Homelander is furious. He attacked A-Train, and the public saw him protect a grieving civilian. Stillwell replies, if we call him a terrorist now, we only make him look like a hero. She does not want Strange as a teammate. She wants him inside a Vought laboratory. Butcher watches the announcement from the hideout. They're trying to get you inside. I know, and you're still considering it. If their research can help me get home, I need to see it myself. Strange enters Vought Tower openly because its classified research may contain something even Butcher cannot steal. Stillwell offers him access to Vaught's scientists and classified research as soon as he cuts ties with the boys and submits to a medical examination. The laboratory looks professional, but Strange notices reinforced glass, sedatives prepared beside the scanner, and security quietly gathering outside. Stillwell follows his gaze. The examination is only a precaution. You prepared all of this before I agreed to do anything. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Strange steps away from the scanner. Then you can do it without me. Homelander steps between Strange and the exit. You walk into my home, waste our time, and then insult us? I came to hear your offer, nothing else. Strange opens a portal behind him and steps through. As the portal forms, the laboratory equipment glitches, and every camera records the same brief distortion around the spell. Vought cannot explain the distortion, but its analysts now have a recognizable signature they can compare against every other recording of Strange's magic. Back at the hideout, Butcher looks surprised to see him. Thought you might take the deal. They wanted me to leave all of you behind. Butcher gives him a small shrug. Could have been a smarter choice. Maybe, Strange says, turning back to Butcher's files. Strange escapes the trap, but Vought now has a first recognizable signature of his magic. Strange's public rejection becomes a major embarrassment for Vought. Homelander takes it personally. Strange walked into his tower, rejected the Seven, and left without showing him a trace of fear. Homelander wants Strange dead, but Stillwell refuses to turn him into a martyr. Instead, Vought releases edited footage portraying him as a dangerous outsider. Meanwhile, Huey and Starlight grow closer, giving the boys someone inside Vought who is beginning to question the company. Then Homelander discovers that Stillwell lied about Becca and Ryan. He kills her before confronting Butcher and revealing that Becca is alive and raising Homelander's son. After the confrontation, Butcher vanishes, leaving the rest of the boys without their leader. After Stillwell's death, Stan Edgar personally takes control of Vought's response to Strange. Homelander's hatred only deepens. Then Edgar brings Stormfront into the Seven and gives Vought a new weapon against Strange. Stormfront throws herself behind Vought's campaign, portraying Strange as an unregistered outsider protecting super terrorists. Homelander hates sharing the spotlight with her, but he enjoys watching the public turn against Strange. Around the same time, the boys locate Kimiko's brother, Kenji. Stormfront goes after Kenji, chasing him and Kimiko through busy streets and into a crowded apartment building. Strange intervenes, but Stormfront quickly notices that he protects civilians before pursuing his opponent. Whenever Strange begins restraining her, Stormfront redirects her lightning toward a nearby civilian, forcing him to abandon the spell and protect them. Even so, Strange manages to pull Kenji and Kimiko through a portal before Stormfront can reach them. Stormfront returns without Kenji and uses edited footage to claim that Strange helped the super terrorist escape. Homelander watches the fight again and again. He notices the same pattern every time. Threaten innocent people, and Strange abandons the attack to save them. Now, Homelander knows how to control the fight. Stormfront's obsession with Kenji gives Starlight a reason to investigate her. What she finds, combined with Mallory's CIA contacts, points the boys towards Sage Grove. Before entering, Strange uses his astral form to locate the records room, guards, and occupied cells. He opens a portal that takes Huey and Starlight directly to the files, while he stays behind to contain the patients. One patient tears doors from their hinges, another releases bursts of energy. Strange attempts to trap them in the mirror dimension, but the facility begins shifting between two different realities. He immediately closes it. The mirror dimension is unstable when interacting with a reality that is not his own. Starlight copies the files, including a report about the weapon used during Soldier Boy's disappearance. Mallory recognizes the operation and traces it to Russia. As Strange opens their escape portal, it briefly shows Kamar Taj instead of their destination. The image disappears almost instantly as the portal corrects itself. Strange stops. His sling ring should not be able to reach another universe, yet for a moment it did. If Kamar Taj is appearing inside his portals, then the barrier between both realities is beginning to change. While Mallory studies the Sage Grove files, Huey and Starlight uncover evidence of Stormfront's real identity and Nazi past. As Vought begins to lose control of the story, Homelander takes Ryan and Becca before anyone can turn his son against him. The boys help Becca locate them, but Stormfront attacks as they try to escape with Ryan. When Stormfront strikes Becca, Ryan loses control. His heat vision tears through Stormfront and leaves her critically wounded. Strange stabilizes Becca and opens a portal directly to Mallory's medical team moments before Homelander arrives. Vought hides Stormfront's condition from the public, but because Strange reached her in time, Becca survives. For the first time, Butcher owes Becca's life to a man with powers. Huey and Starlight release the hospital records, exposing Vaught's use of Compound V to create superheroes. Stormfront's Nazi past also becomes public, but Vought survives under Stan Edgar's leadership. Becca and Ryan enter CIA protection. Mallory gives Ryan a hidden emergency tracker he can activate if Homelander ever finds him. Kenji remains under Mallory's protection, stays in contact with Kimiko, and gradually begins assisting the CIA when his powers are needed. Butcher returns to the boys, more determined than ever to find a permanent way to kill Homelander. Atrian continues using Compound V, pushing his heart closer to failure, but Vought keeps sending him into the field anyway. Over the following months, the portal malfunction begins happening repeatedly. Whenever one of Strange's portals becomes unstable, Kamar Taj briefly appears inside it, before the spell corrects itself and reveals the intended destination. Strange cannot trigger the misfires intentionally or hold the connection to Kamar Taj open. Each misfire lasts longer after Strange uses stronger magic, making him suspect that every major spell is placing more pressure on the barrier between the two realities. Meanwhile, Mallory finishes studying the Sage Grove files and uncovers Russian coordinates connected to Soldier Boy's disappearance. Believing the site may contain the weapon that killed him, the boys prepare to investigate. At the Russian facility, Strange senses a living mind inside the chamber, holding the supposed weapon. Butcher wants it opened immediately. Strange believes someone has been kept alive and tortured inside, so he opens the containment system himself. They find Soldier Boy. He attacks the moment the chamber opens. Strange blocks the first few punches, then opens portals around him to keep him off balance. But Soldier Boy's chest begins releasing unstable radiation. Strange opens a portal in the blast path. Most of the energy passes through, but part of it spills around the edges and hits Kimiko. She survives, but her powers are gone. Butcher tells Soldier Boy that Payback handed him to the Russians, and that the boys can help him find every surviving member. Revenge matters more to Soldier Boy than the strangers in front of him. He agrees to cooperate until his old team is dead. Butcher sees the answer to Homelander. Strange realizes that freeing the man he believed was a victim may have released an even greater threat. Using Mallory's old files and records stolen from Vought, Butcher locates the remaining members of Payback. Soldier Boy tears through them one by one. While Strange spends every mission protecting the people Butcher is willing to sacrifice. Before Homelander learns the truth, Soldier Boy tracks down Black Noir and kills him. Butcher also begins using temporary Compound V. Strange warns that it is damaging his body, but Butcher doesn't care. Kimiko chooses to take Compound V again to protect Frenchie. refuses to work beside Soldier Boy. Huey starts questioning whether killing Homelander is worth becoming like Soldier Boy. Before Soldier Boy kills him, Mindstorm reveals that Homelander is Soldier Boy's son. Butcher still wants them both dead. That's when Strange realizes Butcher is no longer following a plan, he's chasing an ending. With Soldier Boy loose, A-Train's heart finally gives out. Vought replaces his heart and puts him back to work before he has fully recovered. Edgar orders Vought to locate Strange, but Homelander turns the surge into an attack. A-Train goes after Huey first, forcing Strange to protect him. Using Vaught's recordings, Homelander recognizes the distortion that appears before Strange's larger spells. The moment it begins, he closes the distance, knocks Strange's hands apart, and forces him back to shields and smaller portals. When Strange creates space, Homelander attacks the civilians nearby. Strange escapes with Huey, but the fight gives Homelander exactly what he wanted. He now knows what to look for before Strange uses his strongest magic, and he knows Strange will always protect the people around him first. Eventually, Strange tries opening a portal to Kamar Taj again. Most attempts show nothing, but this time the portal briefly shows a place he was trying to reach before collapsing. Strange realizes the accident that brought him here left a weak connection between the two realities. His sling ring cannot create that connection on its own, but he believes he can hold the next accidental opening long enough to cross. He chooses an empty rooftop where a failed portal will not cut through a building or endanger a crowd. Then he tells the boys he may finally have one chance to leave. Huey, Frenchie, Kimiko, and Starlight understand. Butcher appears to understand too. He doesn't. Butcher looks at the location, then at Homelander's photograph. He decides to turn Strange's only way home into a trap. He secretly sends Vought the rooftop's coordinates, knowing Homelander will come personally if Strange is about to escape. Butcher brings Soldier Boy to the same place. After months of searching, Vaught's surveillance finally spots Becca moving between CIA safe houses. Homelander takes Ryan before the CIA can move him again and heads for the rooftop. Strange's way home becomes Butcher's battlefield. On the rooftop, Strange opens portal after portal, waiting for the weak connection to return. This time, Kamar Taj appears clearly. He immediately holds a portal open, but before he can stabilize, Homelander arrives with Ryan and A-Train. Butcher brings Soldier Boy moments later. While Homelander focuses on Strange, Ryan quietly activates the hidden tracker, allowing Becca and the rest of the boys to find him on the rooftop. Soldier Boy charges Homelander, and Butcher follows him. Strange ignores the fight and moves toward Ryan, but Homelander stays close, knocking his hands apart and forcing him to rely on shields instead of portals. Ryan watches his father tear through the rooftop just to stop Strange from reaching him. Homelander does not want to win. He wants his son to see it happen. The fight spreads across the rooftop. Starlight and Kimiko keep A-Train away from Ryan, while Kenji uses his telekinesis to evacuate people from the surrounding buildings. and Frenchie prepare the Russian nerve agent in case Soldier Boy loses control. Huey stays with Becca, pulling her clear when Homelander breaks through Strange's defenses. Butcher and Soldier Boy overpower Homelander together, but Homelander turns the fight in his favor by attacking Ryan. Strange finally opens a portal beneath the boy and drops him beside Becca. The way home is almost open. Strange can leave. Then Soldier Boy begins charging his chest blast. Homelander is directly in front of him, but the blast will wipe out everyone on the rooftop. Butcher refuses to stop Soldier Boy. Strange abandons his opening to home. He throws a shield around Ryan and opens another portal across the blast path. The portal is already unstable from being held between two realities, but Strange forces most of the radiation through it and angles the remaining energy into Homelander. Cracks spread around the portal as the blast passes through. Homelander falls. His strength disappears. His heat vision cuts out. For the first time, he is only human. The image of Kamar Taj closes behind Strange, as Strange keeps the rooftop from collapsing and shields Ryan from the last of the blast. Homelander still tries to crawl toward his son. Butcher reaches him first. "It's over," Strange shouts. Butcher looks at Becca, Ryan, and the man who destroyed his life. Then he kills Homelander. Soldier Boy realizes the boys only used him and moves toward Ryan, determined to end Homelander's bloodline. Strange has avoided the mirror dimension since Sage Grove because it is unstable in this reality. This time he has no other choice. He traps Soldier Boy inside it while and Frenchie release the nerve agent, then drops him directly back into the cloud. Soldier Boy collapses. The cracks remain even after the mirror dimension closes. Mallory's team takes Soldier Boy back into cryogenic containment before he can wake up. The authorities arrive to find A-Train unconscious on the rooftop. Homelander is dead. Vought loses its most powerful weapon as evidence of its crimes. From Compound V in Sage Grove to Stormfront's past spreads around the world. The company survives, but its grip on the world is weaker than ever. Butcher believes they won. Nobody else agrees. Huey reminds him that Homelander was already powerless. Tells him that the team was never supposed to become an execution squad. Becca refuses to let Butcher near Ryan until he accepts what he has become. The boys leave Butcher behind. Strange remains trapped because he chose Ryan's life over his only path home. Days later, Strange opens a normal portal across the safe house. For a moment, 2 different streets appear inside it. Then the portal closes on its own. Outside, New York begins to distort. Buildings double. The ordinary structure where the sanctum should be is replaced by the sanctum from Strange's universe. The image does not disappear. Another skyline begins forming behind the first. Huey looks through the window. Is that your way home? Strange watches cracks spread across the sky. No, whatever this is, it isn't a portal. Strange finally understands. Wanda's attack created the original fracture. Every unstable portal placed more pressure on it, and holding the portal to Kamartaj open weakened it further. Using the unstable mirror dimension widened the damage. Redirecting Soldier Boy's radiation through the connection finally tore the barrier apart. A second Earth appears beyond the fractures. The 2 realities are beginning to collide. An incursion has begun. This is what would have happened if Doctor Strange joined the boys. But what do you think would have happened if the Punisher joined the boys instead?